Hi there guys, I hope you are having a good day. So what about this matchup, Deontay Wilder versus Andy Ruiz Jr. And considering Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury are going to be going their own separate ways now, because the trilogy fight is off, I think we're all pretty glad about that, but ultimately that is what is happening. So Tyson Fury is looking for a new fight, Caballero or Takam, that seems what is going to be for Tyson Fury. But Deontay Wilder, we don't know what he is going to do. What I think he should do is fight Andy Ruiz Jr. because that is a natural fight to make. They are both on PBC. They are both former world champions who should be trying to get back to the place they were before. So why not make it this fight? They can both have an interim fight. Obviously Ruiz is fighting Areola. Deontay Wilder can go and fight someone else. I mean, he can give someone else a rematch because he seems to like to do that, but he can go and fight someone else. Then they can fight one another. Because there are so many challengers sitting just outside of the champions waiting for their opportunity, and yes, of course, they are there on merit, but I believe that they should be trying to get in with one another to see who is the number one challenger to these champions. That's the way to do it. That's the way the old school done it. That is the way these guys should be doing it. So we want to see Ruiz in there with Parker, Ruiz in there with Wilder, because they are good fights, and not only that, because otherwise there are so many mandatories, there are so many possible voluntaries, and yes, that's great, but they don't have the same kind of resume as they would if they fought one another. And means that they warrant that opportunity. They have a resume that is similar to the champion, so Andy Ruiz should be trying to get a fight with Deontay Wilder. Wilder should be trying to get a fight with Andy Ruiz Jr. That's just the way it should be. Will that happen? Probably not, but I think that considering they are both on PBC, this would be an extremely easy fight to make, but do both of them want to risk it? I'd say Andy Ruiz would be more likely to risk this kind of fight than Deontay Wilder, and that's no disrespect, that's just going on what we've seen previously with Wilder opting out of the trilogy fight with Tyson Fury, because I know we don't know that that's what's happened. Apparently a contract expired, but why would you allow a contract to expire when you know you only have a certain amount of time to get the rematch sorted? So there is some reason why the contract has expired, and they've allowed it to run down because Bob Arum has explained it has run out, and lawyers from Tyson Fury and Bob Arum have revealed that that is the case. So for some reason, whatever that is, Deontay Wilder did not want to fight Tyson Fury, or his team maybe did not want to fight Tyson Fury, but ultimately that means that that fight will no longer go ahead. So they need to find a different way to get back to the top. Andy Ruiz, a former world champion on PBC also, a very entertaining fighter, and got a huge following now considering what he'd done in the 2019 against Anthony Joshua. I mean, he's had 2 fights with AJ, 2 high profile fights, with one of the biggest stars in the heavyweight division. So if Wilder is serious about getting back to the top, then the Andy Ruiz Jr. fight is a natural fight for him to seek out. Now, considering what we have seen from Deontay Wilder in the past, will he consider a fight like this that is this risky? I severely doubt it, because he is ranked well within the WBC anyway. I think he's number 1, which is mildly absurd considering he just lost his last fight, so there is no way he should be even ranked that high, or ranked really at all. Top 15, yeah, maybe 15th, because obviously he was going to be fighting Tyson Fury in a rematch for the WBC world title, so yeah, he warrants maybe 15, but no higher because he lost his last fight. There are fighters who are much better in the WBC rankings that deserve to be higher than Deontay Wilder, so you can see he's probably going to get another world title shot without fighting any of these tough fights, the same way he did the first time, but that's not right. I mean, if you want to be the best, if you want to be considered as number 1, you must fight these kind of fighters. Look at Anthony Joshua's resume. Andy Ruiz, Joseph Parker, Vladimir Klitschko, Dillian White, so Povetkin as well. So Anthony Joshua clearly has the resume of a champion. Deontay Wilder has, I mean, Bermain Stavern was who he won the title off of. Luis Ortiz twice, Tyson Fury twice. Luis Ortiz, first fight, I'm going to give him credit for because that was a good win. The second one, Luis Ortiz was a little bit more washed as opposed to the first time he fought him. There was no reason for him to be rematching Luis Ortiz. He didn't need to take that fight. And realistically, Luis Ortiz was not the same fighter in the second fight that he was in the first one. You could see that from the performances of Luis Ortiz after the Deontay Wilder fight. He had 2 or 3 fights where he didn't look that great at all. So Considering the guy was WBC World Champion at the time, he could have gone and got Dillian Whyte. Dillian Whyte would have jumped at an opportunity to fight Deontay Wilder, and he was ranked high within the governing bodies. I think he was like number 1 for, 2 or 3 years. So why not fight his number 1 challenger? If he wants to make a statement, if he wants a big fight, if he wants to prove something, then go and fight your number 1 challenger, Dillian Whyte, who has been seeking out a fight with Wilder for so long. Yeah, I mean, I know Deontay Wilder and Dillian Whyte have both lost their last fights, and Dillian Whyte is actually taking his rematch with Alexander Povetkin, but back then, that was the situation. Dillian Whyte was number 1, Deontay Wilder was champion. If he wants a big fight, then fight Dillian Whyte, but he didn't do that. So we have seen this mold created by Deontay Wilder, where he doesn't fight the top guys in the division, not the top 10. Yes, he's fought Fury twice. The first one, I believe he tried to get him early before he got back to his best, because Fury had only been back for, 5 or 6 months, had 2 glorified spars. Then Wilder wanted to fight him. The second one was kind of forced upon him from fan pressure and probably Tyson Fury's team. So the second fight was also ordered as well by the WBC. So Deontay Wilder found himself in a situation where he tried to get a good name on his resume, but he wasn't at his best. In the second fight though, Tyson Fury was at his best. And that is what made Deontay Wilder unravel in there with an elite level fighter he could not stick with. Now what he needs to do is prove himself, because his stock has dropped incredibly considering he's no longer taking this fight, so he needs to win back some of that fan support. If his fans still follow him for not wanting this fight with Tyson Fury, then I'm sorry, but they're just fanatics, because you cannot agree with the fact that he is going to be fighting Tyson Fury in a trilogy fight, then decides to turn that down, then go and fight someone else. I mean, he's got a shot at the World Championship, why not take it, especially considering now, when he's 35 years old. I mean, heavyweights go on forever, but ultimately, if you have a shot at the World Championship, you need to take it, considering there are so many hungry challengers in the heavyweight division right now. So what Wilder needs to do is make a statement, fight a big name. Andy Ruiz is that statement, Andy Ruiz is that name. If he wants to get back to the top, that is the way to do it. Yes, he's ranked high within the WBC and will likely get a world title shot before many other challengers who deserve their position more. But what he should be doing is looking for redemption for missing that Tyson Fury trilogy fight. So what he should do in that case is fight Andy Ruiz or fight someone on that level to prove that he is not afraid of these big names in the heavyweight division. That is why the Andy Ruiz Jr. fight makes sense, because they are also both on the same platform. They can both have an interim fight. Ruiz is fighting Areola. Deontay Wilder can go and give Duhaupas a rematch if he wants to, then go in there with Andy Ruiz for a mega fight. That would be a big fight. Everyone would be interested in it, because you just don't know what is going to happen. So that would be an interesting fight. I would pick Andy Ruiz to win that one, but still, a fight that is interesting, a big fight between 2 heavyweight former world champions, unless Deontay Wilder wants to drop down into this new super cruiserweight division and get a shot at a world title in that weight class. Maybe that is the route he is looking to take. Guys, anyway, what are your thoughts on this? Make sure you leave your thoughts in the comments below, leave a thumbs up and subscribe if you are new. Thanks guys.